Well, it's great to be here today, and it's great to hear, in the big trends, how much telco and edge cloud we're hearing about, because I think that there's tremendous activity in this space, and that's what I'm going to bring you up to speed on. So, my name is Timon Sloane. I'm the VP of Marketing and Ecosystem at the Open Networking Foundation. And out of curiosity, how many people have heard of the Open Networking Foundation? Great, thank you. Probably 50% or so. So, the Open Networking Foundation is an operator-led consortium. We are founded by some of the leading network operators in the world. You see our 8 operator-level partners here. It's a worldwide consortium that is really driving transformation across the networking industry. We have a mission to transform what has been locked up. We heard other people talking about vertically integrated, closed systems, difficulty with innovation. All of these operators have experienced this and went about looking for ways to drive transformation. And we are, in essence, a catalyst to help drive this transformation. And notably, we've had really a remarkable impact over the last 5 or 6 years. So these are four initiatives that all came out of the Open Networking Foundation, and each, in its own right, has been a tremendous success. And we have back-to-back successes that have been building upon each other that are truly transforming the industry as we know it. It started with SDN, software-defined networking. OpenFlow then, the protocol that enabled separation of control and data plane and enabled innovation to commence in the networking space. And then ONOS, which is the leading SDN controller for operator networks today. And then now Cord, and I'm really here to talk about Cord today. And out of curiosity, how many people have heard of Cord? It was pretty good, probably 30%. It's remarkable because in some audiences, like everybody knows about it, and in some audiences, people are still figuring it out. And the reason for that is Cord is taking off like a storm, and here are a couple of data points for you. So the first is from heavy reading. Roz recently said that 40% of all subscribers worldwide, mobile, residential, enterprise, are going to be running on Cord in 5 years. I mean, it's a crazy kind of number, right? And then from Michael Howard, 70% of all operators are planning to deploy Cord. So we're starting to see true third-party validation of what's happening with Cord. And what I want to do today is sort of take you through a bit of the story of Cord, why it's having the impact it is, and then for ways for we as an ecosystem we can all participate. So Cord started, again, the operator partners we sit with are immersed, of course, in their businesses. And when we started talking about transforming the network or what's it going to take and everything, the first thing you think of is a picture of something like this, a big US network operator. I don't know, 50 backbone sites, and that's kind of how you think of their networks. But the first learning we had when digging into this is that this is not the problem, really. That the backbone is small and relatively simple for an operator. It's the edge is the problem. And 80% of the spend, 80% of the complexity, and really 80+% of the opportunity is at the network edge. So that was number one. Number two, what is the edge? Well, in reality, the edge looks something like this. These windowless buildings that you may have seen in your neighborhoods somewhere, they're relatively close to every subscriber. They, footprint-wise, they were designed to be within just, 3 miles or so of every subscriber for the distance that copper lines could support. So they have this incredible footprint all over the world. And this is where operators connect to their subscribers, to their customers. This is the place where they have the opportunity to make the first impression and to deliver services. But there are thousands and thousands and thousands of these buildings that are often unmanned and unlit. And it means that the equipment in there, if you've ever been into one of these things, it looks like a museum. It's like 300 different kinds of gear, and you have to have support contracts on these things that have been running for decades. It's an amazingly complex system, and it's just a sinkhole for cost if you think about trying to keep support contracts going on some of this old gear. So this, was raised to our attention as we were really studying this problem. This is where the opportunity is, but it's a complex problem. So today, really where we are in the big picture, cloud-wise, is that clearly we have commodity clouds, public clouds, great success, fantastic. The telcos are moving pretty fast with their own clouds, or internet exchange clouds, and leading telcos are moving faster than others, but there's progress there, and it's an addressable problem, not trivial, but addressable. But you still have these windowless buildings at the edge of the network. connected to the subscribers. And this is the reality. And again, 80% of the complexity and cost at that edge. Our vision with Cord is to create this edge cloud, compatible with the rest of the clouds, but optimized and specialized for that edge. There are certain problems and specific issues at the edge that are really very unique, and Cord is a holistic solution to address all of those nuances at the edge of the network. The edge is special. We talked about cost and opportunity, but all the next generation applications that we're hearing about, autonomous vehicles, all of that is latency sensitive when you think about it. The need to be close to the subscriber and run applications very close to where the subscriber is. So imagine, our glasses are going to overlay the name of a building as we walk down a street. But if for that to work properly, it's very important that that name not move as you move your head, or you're going to get nauseous right away. In order to do that, you can't do the processing back in the core cloud. Just the latency of getting back to the core cloud and back will blow it. So you have to do the processing close to the user. You probably can't do it in a set of eyeglasses. You can do it in the edge cloud. That's one of many examples of why there's a huge opportunity in the edge cloud and why there's so much interest and now investment in this space. So when we studied this problem and thought about Cord and its mission, it really was to enable this edge cloud that, number one, has the economies of the data center. And that's white box commodity components that can be easily replaced rather than all this specialized equipment in these legacy COs. It's to get the agility of a cloud provider. I mean, the telcos are desperate for this, to be able to deploy new services rapidly without having to deploy a new box and add the 301st box to that building in 5,000 sites. And to do all this in an easy-to-consume platform. Because we heard earlier today that the perception is NFV is hard to consume. That NFV is complicated, that service chaining is difficult, and frankly it is. It's not a trivial problem, and we've been working on it for a few years now. But for Cord, our ambition is to go after that as well, because it has to be easy to consume if it's going to be able to have the impact we desire. So we take this windowless building, we transform it applying the best of SDN, NFV, and cloud technologies, theories, ways of working, and we come up with the Cord data center. And Cord, at the hardware level, looks a lot like what we've come to believe data centers look like. It's a spine leaf fabric, and it's commodity servers and storage. But what's really special about Cord, one of the first things among many, is that it requires specialized access equipment to connect to those subscribers. So you have all these mobile subscribers, so you have broadband residential subscribers that need to connect. And not only do the servers, move to a white box way of working, but even the edge equipment can move in that direction. And even this week, we just announced, and we're showing in Germany with AT&T and Deutsche Telekom, a solution that has an OCP certified edge PON equipment to be able to connect subscribers. So to be able to really go to a white box model even at the edge. And that's for mobile 5G, that's for residential, and for enterprise subscribers. And then, of course, you need to have specialized gear on the right there as well to connect to the carrier backbone. But really, the secret source, of course, is in the software. Right? So Cord comes with all of the VNFs that you need to be able to deploy services, or at least prototype VNFs. We are very careful with Cord to, our belief is that consumption requires ease of use and ease of getting started. And so instead of building pieces that we lay on the table and say you can assemble your own car, we deliver a car. And from Cord, today you can get a mobile, an enterprise, or a residential car. And you can boot it up and you can drive it around the block, and then you can start to decide what parts you want to swap out. Okay, I don't like the seats, the steering wheel, I need a new engine. But it's easier to know what you want to do when you can get started with something. And so that's our philosophy, and I think that's been key to our success. And each of these solutions includes all the pieces you need. Just briefly, for mobile, that's all the way from RAN, virtualized RAN, cloud RAN, all the way to the virtualized mobile core, the EPC. That's a huge problem space, and we have an open source solution end-to-end for all of that in mCord. Same for enterprise. We have an enterprise VPN solution, so you can connect multiple sites from all your subscribers. And then for residential, to bring on ultra broadband subscribers, deliver services, deliver firewall services, content delivery networks, authentication, everything that's needed to be able to deliver services. So then make it very easy, but once you've tried out the car, we make it easy to customize, and so that for hardware choices can be swapped. Vendors can add and replace VNFs, and I would say in every case, when our operators are using this, they adjust pieces of it. This doesn't work in their environment. There are legal issues here. I mean, we're talking about different countries, different laws, different types of subscribers, different competitive environments. So it's expected to be customized, and that's part of our philosophy and way of working. And then, of course, operators can customize as well. So just to give you a taste of some of the service provider traction we're seeing. So I've done a lot of startups in Silicon Valley, and probably been involved with like 70 different companies over the years. And I can say that any company I've started, I was always starting with like the smaller operators and dreaming of getting to the tier 1 operators. And the amazing thing here is that what you see are like the tier 1 operators worldwide are all embracing and using Cord. It's almost coming from the top down. So the traction is amazing. And what we're seeing, the momentum and the speed at which it continues to grow is really phenomenal. It's almost on a monthly basis we hear about a new engagement. Somebody else just comes to us and says, I want to let you know that we actually have it up and running, and we have 50 people working on it, and we'd like to now engage at a new level. We see huge promise here. And so our biggest problem is just capacity in dealing with that kind of activity. And these are really in the proof of concept and in trial phase. So I mean, this is a huge transformation for a massive industry. The space that this impacts, Cord impacts, is a $300 billion a year industry. And in telcos, just to deploy a new box that is compatible with one they already had takes them 1.5 years or 2 years. To do this takes time. But I mean, they're moving faster than I've ever seen them move. The amount of energy and initiative here is truly phenomenal. So in a snapshot, Cord. So number one, it's this huge opportunity. The network edge is transforming. The network edge is one of the most exciting places. It's the place where new services can be provided. And it's this huge market, $300 billion. And Cord is a unique solution. It's a compelling open source, pre-integrated platform. Rather than pieces, you get that full car. It leverages the best of disaggregation, breaking the network into pieces, open source and white boxes. And it leverages the best of SDN, NFV, and cloud technologies, all in a cohesive solution. And the traction we're seeing is really tremendous. We have a very growing, robust community. Q.Synergy has been working with us for some time now and has actually really been stepping up their activity. You can see a Cord cloud in their lab running here today. And that's something that's permanently based here. We actually run CI/CD onto that cloud daily from our lab. And numerous service providers have plans for trials and deployment. So, my call to action here to this group is that we have an ecosystem here. We have a $300 billion market, and we don't know how that demand is going to be fulfilled today. That's the reality. This is transforming things so dramatically that operators don't really know how to buy this yet. There aren't system integrators in place to be able to deliver it. All the components or the peripherals to feed this are not yet available. And so, this is a massive, massive opportunity. So our mission is to transform the market with technology and to transform the ecosystem, and we're on track. Then tremendous opportunity, for application vendors, VNF vendors, services, anything that runs in the cloud, to run in the edge cloud, and specialized for operators, anything that's latency sensitive. White box suppliers, all the way from the traditional stuff, storage, networking, compute, but also to access equipment, to RAN equipment, to optical equipment, and to system integrators to help pull this all together. From the educational piece, all to supporting networks as they're deployed. Huge, huge, huge opportunity. So learn more, please, and get involved. And then just the one last thing I want to mention is that Q.Synergy is also very kindly hosting a Cord Build, a developer event for Cord here in 2 weeks in this facility. I invite anybody who wants to learn more. On the first day in particular, there's an ecosystem track to understand everything that's going on, hear from our operator partners, hear from us, understand the architecture, understand the pieces of what's going on. And then there are 2 more days, all 3 days are appropriate for developers as well. So if you want to send some staff here, you yourself want to get your hands dirty, come, please, and learn more. Thank you very much.